The production of bottled water in UniSZA consists of two parts, which are filtration and production line. Before we go deeper about the production line, we must know how the water is filtered to make it safe for human consumption. Firstly, the untreated water sourced from Sjareket er UniSZA is stored in a 10,000-liter water storage tank. The untreated water is then passed through 3 sand filters before it is pumped into the reverse osmosis system. Reverse osmosis with the size of 0.01 micron, where its role is to filter all contaminants, including the mineral, volatile compounds, and bacteria 0.5 micron and viruses 0.1 micron. A conductivity monitoring meter also turns out to be useful in measuring the water quality in checks such as the purity level of the water used in the system. Although the RO system has filtered possibly all bacteria, as a precaution measure, the water will go through to micron filters and a UV system to kill any remaining microorganisms. In this plant, UV is used to sterilize the water instead of boiling it because of the large volume of water, which makes it difficult and takes longer time to boil. After the sterilization process, the water is then pumped into a treated water tank before it is pumped into the pipeline connected to the production line.
There are 2 types of beverage line provided, which are drinking water line and carbonated water line. In a white cap bottle, the treated RO water was produced in 2 main bottle sizes, such as 330 milliliters and 500 milliliters, with the total production rate of 4,000 bottles per hour. On the contrary, blue caps were used for spring and mineral water, while green caps represented infused natural flavored beverages, and red caps represented sparkling water. Rarely, yellow caps represent enhanced water through the addition of nutrients and vitamins, while black caps were labeled as premium, followed by pink caps, which notify consumers on cancer awareness, including charity events held during the season. Manually, the water bottle has to be positioned before entering the aseptic surrounding through the usage of a blower. In some industry, another blower was prepared to blow the compressed plastic water bottle back into shape. The goal of compressed water bottles is to reduce transportation and storage costs. These plastic bottles were then turned upside down as it entered the washing process. A high-pressure RO water was used to rinse inside the bottle to get rid of dust and other foreign particles. The bottle gripper with a plastic pad contributes in avoiding these bottles from colliding, while maintaining a constant pace of water being purged in order to clean up these bottles in detail. A sensor detector plays a huge role in the filling and capping process too, where the sensor will detect the presence of bottles before the filling up process in order to save a great deal of water throughout this act. In addition, the monitor machine may be used to accurately fill the bottles with an equivalent amount of liquid by adjusting the volume filled in the bottle. In the capping process, a capping hopper contributes in ensuring that each cap is oriented correctly. Otherwise, the cap is returned to the cap distributor instead. Given that the approach already has a steady and proven impact in yields fewer defects that lead to manufacturing shortfalls, it also helps in increasing the mass production of water bottles in conjunction of the manufacturing process held. Furthermore, if no bottles remain in queue, the capping process stops automatically through the usage of sensor. This automatic washing, filling and capping machine was run in a condition which is free from foreign matters and contamination of microbes as a part of quality assurance in the bottled water production line. Next in line, we have the carbonated line, which assists a lot in producing carbonated beverages, such as sodas and sparkling water. By infusing beverages with carbon dioxide to produce a tangy effervescent feeling where most of the time, hydraulic pressure was used to occupy the bottles in generating the carbonation to occur at a constant pressure.
The last station of the production line is the printing and labeling process. The printing process consists of expiry date, which is 2 years after the manufacturing process, and the batch number of the bottles. A batch number is a label applied to goods produced in the same production cycle. A batch number, which can be made up of letters, numbers, or symbols, enables the products to be tracked down once they've been dispersed. Meanwhile, beams were employed to mark the production date as well as the expiry date on the bottled water, in order to keep the purity of the water content as well as the scent from contaminating the bottled water owing to several few unacceptable grounds. The plastic labels were dropped onto the bottle before passing through a shrink tunnel. In the shrink tunnel, the labels will fit to the bottle perfectly after the hot air is directed to it. The finished bottled water is then arranged into a box of 24 bottles and then sealed. The boxes were then being transferred using a hand pallet truck. These hand-operated trucks raise these heavy loads prior to transferring them into the storage, where most of the boxes were kept in.
A visit to the drinking water line plant was a remarkable and informative event, which equipped us for the realities of the beverage sector in general. A well-built drinking water line was certainly rather complex, since there were dozens of precautionary procedures in disinfecting the microorganisms, in comparison with the use of hurdle technology in the food industry as well. The other shortcomings which highly needs to improve is the students' needs to focus on their attire, where they are required in wearing masks, wearing shoes cover, gloves including with a hairnet and beard net, and incorporating a healthy and hygienic environment altogether. Sanitization and personal hygiene are also the two main factors which needed to be implied always at any time, as an ethical, moral, and value for us to dedicate it and discipline ourselves thoroughly. As a result, the only improvement needed during the visit was to split the number of students in half. The instructor's assistance is a blessing, but in a crowded environment, it may restrict the students' engagement throughout the drinking water area. Besides, by restricting the number of students, we may have a clearer perspective on the emphasis area, which might be a great benefit in providing a convenient environment for us to study and progress while also assisting us in the upcoming future. Let's move on to the possible roles that are important in bottled water production. All of these roles' main function is to make sure that the product has a high quality that is acceptable for the consumers. Firstly, operator. The role of operator is to control and carry out the processes of receiving, handling, processing, and preparing the products for their subsequent storage, dispatch, transport, and commercialization. Quality controller. Next, a quality control officer is an essential aspect in food and beverage production. Its role is to test products to ascertain whether they meet required food safety regulations and customer requirements. Quality control QC is a reactive process and aims to identify and rectify the defects in finished products. Quality assurance. In the food processing industry, quality assurance entails creating a series of procedures that guarantee the standard of the processes used to create products. Enhancing procedures is the aim in order to prevent any form of defect from arising during the bottled water development process on the production line. Safety officer. Food safety officer is responsible for implementing food safety regulations at food establishments about things like food composition, labeling, foodborne illness investigations, and purposeful contamination. Workers. Other workers in the production line are accountable for the efficient and safe manufacture of food goods. This entails using machinery and equipment as well as according to directions and maintaining cleanliness.